Hello, my loves. Today we're going to divide fractions. Our standard is I can think of a fraction as a division problem. And when we divide fractions, we're going to use the reciprocal. So step one, we're going to flip that following fraction, and then it'll turn into a multiplication problem, where we simply multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. Our objective for today, we can divide fractions. How simple strategy can help you divide fractions? There's a problem there. Do you see that problem? What should it be? What should it say? How simple strategy? Let's change that to what? What simple strategy can help you divide fractions? Perfect. Our lead measures, review the algorithm of dividing fractions. And then we're gonna go and practice with Mega Math Fraction Flare Up and practice with some IXL. And don't forget, you've got your iReady lessons, 3 grades for math every week. The 2 teacher-assigned lessons, and then your 50 minutes. And don't forget to do your 50 minutes for reading too. Now, once you do your 50 minutes and you do my 2 lessons, I want you to go to your regular path and do some lessons there. Because remember, you've got to catch up to that 6th grade if you want to get to 6th grade next year, right? And we definitely want to be there. Oh, what? Claire, perfect. Okay, let's see what we have. We're dividing a fraction by a fraction. Well, where'd number 1 go? There it is. Flip the following fraction, multiply the numerators, and then multiply the denominators. It's that simple. So let's do a very simple problem to remind you, because, you know, guys, remember, you've done this before. We did this in class. All right, let me get my pen here. Okay, so let's start with 1/2 divided by 2/3. Now this is a very simple problem because all we need to do is flip the following fraction. That's this one, it's the following, it comes after. So this problem is going to be changed to 1/2, and then I'm going to flip it this way and this way. So the 3 goes on top and the 2 goes down below. Okay, and now multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. Okay, 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 2 is 4. So my answer is 3/4. Let's do another one. Let's do a challenging one. I'm going to give us 12/15 divided by 5/6. Okay, step 1, flip the following fraction. So this stays the same, but this one is going to flip into 6/5. And now I multiply the numerator and the denominator. So 12 times 6, 12 times 6 is 72. And 15 times 5, 15 times 5 is 75. So there is your answer. Now notice what I did is I wrote the problem as a division problem and then I rewrote it as multiplication. I need you to show that step, show that thinking, that way you don't make mistakes. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do 17/23 divided by 9/5. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause the video and do this on a piece of paper and we'll check your work. So pause the video and then press play again when you have your answer. Okay, so 17/23 stays the same because I only flip the following fraction. That's this one here. And when I flip it, it becomes 5/9. Step 2, multiply the numerators. 17 times 5. Well, 17 times 5. 5 times 7 is 35. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 85. And now I multiply the denominators. 23 times 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Carry that 2. 9 times 2 is 18, 19, 20. So 207, and there's my answer. 85 207ths. Notice what I did is I rewrote my division problem. I rewrote it as a multiplication problem, and I flipped that fraction, and then I did my math, and I did my math. Show your thinking. Show your thinking. That way you can find mistakes. All right, let's do the last one on this page, and I'm going to make it a doozy. 123 300ths divided by 4/5. All right, pause the video and do it yourself. This is going to stay the same as 123 300ths, but now I'm going to flip and it's going to become 5/4, and I'm going to multiply them. So I need to do 123 times 5. Pretty simple. 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So it's 615. And then I have 300 times 4. Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So 300 times 4 is 1200. And there's my answer. Now, of course, this answer can be reduced. But remember, we're not reducing until tomorrow. And I know this answer can be reduced because this ends with a 5 and this ends with a 0. That tells me they can both be divided by 5 to get smaller. But again, that's tomorrow. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now we're going to divide fractions by whole numbers. And you turn the whole number into a fraction, and then follow the same steps as before. Flip the following fraction, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. And when we did this in class, I showed you 2 different types of problems using a whole number and a fraction. So one type of problem would be 1/3 divided by a whole number. And then another way would be the whole number divided by 1/3. Now, if you remember, there's only ever 2 questions that can be asked, right? One question is how many pieces, and the other question would be how big are the pieces? Remember, how many? And how many pieces means you're going to have a whole number. And then the other question is how big are the pieces? And that's when you'll have a fraction as an answer. So let's go ahead and do this. Step 1, it says turn the whole number into a fraction. Well, this is simple. You stick a 1 under it. That's all you have to do. And then step 2, flip the following fraction. This is my following fraction. So 1/3 stays the same. But I'm going to flip 2/1 and it becomes 1/2. And now I multiply the numerators and denominators. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So my answer is 1/6. So which question am I answering? How many or how big? The answer is how big, right? So for instance, this would say if I had 1/3 of a pie, well, that's a bit more than 1/3 in it. Let me make it bigger. There, that better? If I had 1/3 of a pie and I divided it into 2 pieces, so I'm going to take my 1/3 and divide it into 2 pieces. What size do we have now? It started at 1/3, and then when I divided it, I basically cut that 1/3 in half. That's why I have 1/6 pieces, because 2/6 equals 1/3. I just cut that 1/3 in half. I cut it into 2 pieces because that's what it said to divide it into. Now, let's do this one. This one says 2 divided by 1/3. Now, this one, the answer was a fraction, so it asked how big are the pieces. This one's going to say how many pieces. So the question is, if I have 2 pizzas and I cut them into thirds, how many pieces will I have? If I have 2 pizzas and I cut them into thirds, how many thirds will I have? Well, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to have 6 thirds, right? 6 thirds. Let's show over here with the algorithm. Step 1, turn the whole number into a fraction. Or put a 1 under it. So it becomes 2 wholes. And now I'm going to flip the following fraction. It becomes 3 over 1. And when I divide, 2 times 3 is 6, and 1. So the answer is how many slices? How many 1/3 size pieces? The answer is 6 pieces. 6 pieces, because look, I've got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3. I have 6 1/3 size pieces. My answer is 6 pieces. All right, let's do another example. We have 3/4 divided by nope, sorry. Clear. I got ahead of myself. I did the 1, 6, and the 6, 1. Okay, this one is 5/6 divided by 7. 5/6 divided by 7. I want you to pause the video, and I want you to solve this. Okay, step 1, turn the whole number into a fraction. Done. And now we're going to flip the following fraction. That's this one. It's the second fraction. 5/6 stays the same, but 7 over 1 becomes 1/7. And now multiply, multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. 6 times 7 is 42. My answer is 542. 5 over 42. Now let's do another one. Let's do 7 divided by 9/12. Now, if you notice that pattern, if I start with a fraction, my answer is a fraction. But here I'm starting with a whole number. Do you think my answer is going to be that whole number or that fraction? Let's find out. Pause the video and then solve this. Okay, step 1, turn it into a fraction, and it becomes 1/7. And then I flip 12 over 9 and multiply. 1 times 12 is 12. And 7 times 9. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what did I do? I made a huge mistake, didn't I? Can you find my mistake? What did I do wrong? If you didn't find it, I'll give you a hint. Was I supposed to flip that? No, I wasn't supposed to flip that. Only the following fraction gets flipped. Oh, I found that mistake. I hope you found it too. Okay, let's go back. This is 7 divided by 9/12. Let me go slower. I think I rushed and made a mistake. Step 1, turn that whole number into a fraction. Okay, it's going to be 7 over 1. Now flip the following fraction. That stays. I did it again. Miss Allison, how could you? How could you do it again? 7 over 1. It stays. Keep, writing myself a note, keep the first fraction or leave it alone. Remind yourself. All right, now this gets flipped to 12 over 9, and now I can multiply. Oh, that makes more sense. 7 times 12 is 84. And then 1 times 9 is 9. So I have an improper fraction here. I have a fraction greater than 1. Here I have a fraction less than 1. And on the right, I have a fraction greater than 1. Awesome. Okay. Clear all this out. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now we're going to divide a fraction by a mixed number. Step 1, turn the mixed number into a fraction. Flip the following fraction, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. So it's basically the same thing as we've been doing, but this time we're turning a mixed number into a fraction instead of a whole number into a fraction. So let's go with 1 and 1/2 divided by 3/4. Step 1, turn the mixed number into a fraction. So how do we do that? We multiply 2 times 1 to get 2, plus 1 we get 3. It's 3/2. And how I know that is I have 1 and 1/2 pizza. And if I'm looking to find how many halves there are, 1/2, 2/2, there are 3 halves in 1.5 pizzas. And then I flip the following fraction and this becomes 4/3. And now I multiply. I've got 12 over 6. 12/6, which we know is actually 2, right? Because we know how to reduce. But we're going to hold off on that until tomorrow, like I said. Let's do another problem. This one's going to be 3/4 divided by 1 and 1/2. Okay. Turn the mixed number into a fraction? Sure. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. It's 3/2. So now I have 3/4 divided by 3/2. Step 2, flip the following fraction. Alrighty, I can do that. My first fraction stays the same, 3/4 doesn't change, but this one gets flipped. It becomes 2/3. And now I multiply. And I have 6 over 12, which we know reduces to 1/2. It's just that simple, guys. Make sure you're pausing this video. Let's do another one. Let's do a little bit more challenging. Let's do 3 and 1/16 divided by 7/8. Go ahead and pause that video. All right, step 1, multiply. 16 times 3, I got to do it over here. I don't know my 16 times tables. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 plus 1 is 4. So this becomes 48. And 48 plus 1 is 49/16. Done. Check, check. Now I'm going to flip that following fraction. I'm going to flip it. It becomes 8/7. Check. And now I multiply. 49 times 8. I don't know my 49 times tables. I'm going to show my work, show my thinking. I know that 49 times 8. I've got 9 times 8 is 72. Then I've got 32 plus 7. I've got 39. So it becomes 392. And then 16 times 7. 6 times 7 is 42. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 112. 392 over 112 is the answer. Is that the answer you got? Make sure that your page has all of this wonderful math. And make sure, put a heading on your page or put a heading on your little section of your page that says divide by a mixed number. That way when mom says, what did you do today? Oh my goodness, I divided a fraction by a fraction. I divided a fraction by a whole number and a whole number by a fraction. I divided a mixed number by a fraction. I divided a fraction by a mixed number. That's impressive that you did all of that in one day. All right, let's do the last one for this page. 7/8 divided by 1 and 1/5. Pause the video. Let's see what you got. 7/8 stays the same, but I have to turn this into a fraction. So this fraction becomes 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6. 6/5. And I'm still dividing. I'm still dividing because all I did was turn that into a fraction. But now I'm going to flip 7/8 times 5/6. 7 times 5 is 35. And 8 times 6, 6 times 8 is 48. Because my brain will never tell me that 8 times 6 is 48. I have to do it backwards. 6 times 8 is 48. I don't know why, but that's what my brain does. So there's our answer for this page. Okay, now let's divide mixed numbers. Turn both of those mixed numbers into fractions. Oh, marking that up. Hold on, let me clear that out. We'll leave it there. Why not? Okay. Flip the following fraction, multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. All right. Let's start with 1 and 1/2 divided by 1 and 1/2. Now this is kind of a trick question because look here, 1 and 1/2 divided by 1 and 1/2. Well, what's 3 divided by 3? What's 16 divided by 16? What's 1,172 divided by 1,172? The answer is 1. Oh, look how easy that is. So this is why I put this problem here. I want you guys to not just say, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. I want you to think about what you're doing before you even start. You know, like begin with the end in mind. Focus on what they're asking. And that's going to save you some time and some trouble. There's no reason to follow all those steps here because you know if this is the same as this, the answer is going to be 1. Clear all, uh-oh. Oh no, I'm doing the wrong pen. Hold on. Clear all drawings. Erase. I was using the wrong pen. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Clear, clear, clear. Clear, clear, clear. Okay, get rid of that pen. No, I don't want you. I want this one. Drawing and purple. Okay, let's do the next one. We have 3 and 1/4 divided by 1 and 1/8. Step 1, turn the mixed numbers into fractions. So I've got 3 and 1/4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 1 is 13. 13/4. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 1 is 9. It becomes 9/8. And it's still a division problem because I did not flip yet. When I flip, my 13/4 stays the same, but it becomes 8/9 now. And then I can multiply. 13 times 8. What is 13 times 8? 8 times 3 is 24. 8, 9, 10. It's 104. And then 4 times 9 is 36. That's our answer. Very simple. All right, let's do another one, and I want you to pause the video and see if you get the answer. I'm going to make this challenging. 16 and 2/3 divided by 1/2. Pause the video. Let's see what you get. Okay, step 1, turn the mixed numbers. Uh-oh. I made this one too easy. Oh. Okay, it's all right. We'll do one more after this. Are you ready? 16 times 3. Oh, man. 16 times 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 3, that's 48. And 48 plus 2, 48, 49, 50. It's 50/3. Next, I'm still dividing. 1/2. Now I'm going to flip that fraction. It becomes 50/3 times 2 over 1. Oh, well, that's too easy. I accidentally made that too easy. It's 100/3 is your answer there. So let's do one more, but I'm going to make this one a mixed number by mixed number because I forgot that second mixed number. 16 and 2/3 divided by, let's do 3 1/2. Go ahead and pause that video and let's see what you can get. Oh, well, we know that 16 times 3, I hope you didn't erase your math. That's why you get to keep all that math on that paper. And 6 times 3 is 18. It's 48, 49, 50. It's 50/3. Divided by 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. We've got 7 halves. So now I've got 50 times 7. I know that 5 times 7 is 35. So that means 5 tens times 7 is 35 tens and 6. There, 356 is my answer. And yes, that's an improper fraction. And yes, it can definitely be reduced by a simple division problem. Can't it? Absolutely. Let me, here's my eraser. Since tomorrow we are going to reduce these numbers, let's do a little preview. 350 divided by 6. So let's start here. Can I do 3 divided by 6? Nope, I can't, so I need to move to this place. How about 35? I can definitely do that. What number times 6 gets me close to 35 without going over? I know my 6 times tables. I do a hashtag, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, right? 36. Oh, 36 went way too high. So I'm going to go back down to 30, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, it goes here because this is actually a 0 because I couldn't divide that. When I subtract, I bring this down, and now I've got a 50. And I'm glad that I did my hashtag helper because I can keep going, right? 36 plus 6 more is 42. 42 plus 6 more is 48. And 48 is really close to 50, isn't it? There's only 2 left over. So how did I get that 48? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 times 8 is 48, and there's 2 left over. So that's going to be 2/6. Can I still reduce this? Yes, look, 2/6. I can reduce this and divide by 2, and I can divide this by 2. 1/3. So my total and complete lowest answer is 58 1/3. And we're going to do quite a few of those tomorrow. Okay, so here we are at my web page, and we're on Tuesday's lesson, and it says Mega Math Fraction Flare-Up Level P. Remember, if it starts at A, that's the easiest, and as it goes up the alphabet, it gets more challenging. So level P is pretty challenging. Click to enable Flash Player. Click, and then allow.
Hi, I'm Penny.
Hi, Penny.
In these questions, you will use the fraction bars to show division.
Use the fraction bars to show how many 1/6 bars are in 1/2 bar.
Okay, so we were using the algorithm, and we were using that reciprocal to flip the following fraction and to multiply. Here they're showing you how to do it with models. So the question is 1/2 divided by 1/6. How many 1/6 pieces can fit inside 1/2? Well, 1 can fit, 2 can fit, and 3 can fit, right? That's the same size as 1/2. Because 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. Is that the question they asked me? How many fit into 1/2? Yep. 1/2 divided by 1/6.
You've got it.
Okay, now they're going to ask me how many pieces I put in there. And the answer is 3. So 1/2 divided by 1/6 is that whole number, 3. Because How many 1/6 size pieces can fit? 3 of them.
Excellent.
Excellent. All right, you're going to continue with this practice. Let me click out of this guy. And then you can use your IXL for extra practice. Please remember that what is most important is your iReady, okay? Multiply fractions to find area and then add and subtract fractions. You have to do that for your grade. This IXL is for extra practice. And we are dividing fractions today. So remember, I starred some of these for you. And as soon as they load, come on, Slowpoke. So I starred some of these for you to let you know which ones would probably be really good for you to practice with. There they go. And it's what we did today. Divide unit fractions by whole numbers. Divide whole numbers by unit fractions. Look at that. That unit fraction means it has a 1 as a numerator. And divide whole numbers and unit fractions. That's going back and forth. So that might be a really good one for you to practice. Divide fractions and mixed numbers. So all of these things are helpful for you in dividing fractions. So I wanted you to have like a well-rounded review with using the models as well as using the algorithm. So here, 1/4 divided by 2, we're going to flip that following fraction, right? But we've got to turn that into a fraction first. Let's look at their example. Oh, they're using a number line. To find 1/3 divided by 2, separate 1/3 into 2 equal parts. Because what did they do? They divided it into 2 parts, just like I did with the pizza slice, right? We had 1/3 of a pizza and I cut it in half. Here, they're taking 1/3 and they're cutting it in half. And you're getting 1, 2 jumps. That's yet another way to do it. So now here, think about this. If I have 1/4 of a candy bar, okay, there's only 1/4 left, and I divide it among 2 people, that means each person is going to get 1/8. Now, how do I type 1/8 here? It's going to be 1/8. Just like we were doing when we were bubbling in our sheets, right? Or bubbling our test sheets. That slash on your keyboard, it has the question mark and it has the slash. So my answer here is 1/8. Because every person gets 1/8. Now, let's look at this one. Let's say I have half of a candy bar. Here's my candy bar. Let me draw it. But this part was eaten already. I only have 1/2 left, and I want to divide it among myself and my sister. So if I'm going to cut it in half, and Ms. Blair gets that one, I get this one, that means we don't get half of a candy bar, we have half of a half, which is 1/4, because this is 1/4. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? We each get 1/4. Boom. 1 slash under the question mark and 4. Correct. All right. Clear that. All right, my loves, get to practicing. If you want more practice, watch this video all over again. Write these problems down. Show your math. If you want to show your stuff, send me a picture of all the beautiful math work that you've been doing. I can send you a picture of mine. I've got a full page of me because, of course, I did the math first before I wanted to show you. I have to practice just like you. And even when I practice, don't I still make mistakes? Absolutely, we all make mistakes. A mistake does not mean you're not smart. If you don't make mistakes, that means you're not trying. Or it means that you're doing something that's so simple that it's like 1 + 1. Everybody should make mistakes and learn from them. Maybe when I'm 85 and I've been doing this math for 20 more years, 40 more years, then maybe I'll stop making mistakes. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.